Diabetes, getting to the true root cause. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Johnson. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist, and I've been in private practice in Appleton, Wisconsin since 1983. So I've been in natural health care 39 plus years. So we're going to talk about diabetes type 1 and type 2. And type 3, which is coming onto the scene now related to Alzheimer's. Glucose dysregulation. And so it's important to know, yes, type 1 is autoimmune, but now some of the literature is saying type 2 could be autoimmune and definitely type 3. So the key to diabetes, no matter which type 1, 2, or 3, is iron dysregulation. That is the true root cause. Too much iron stored in your system. How do you know if you have it? A very simple blood test called a ferritin test. We charge $29 for it. You can get it anywhere. You can order it yourself. Just Google, order my own lab test near me. Oh, yeah. And places will come up like Request a Test, Any Lab Test Now, Walk-in Lab, Quest Direct, LabCorp On Demand, Direct Labs. And maybe they charge a little more, I don't know, but it's worth it. Because my ferritin level was 365, and that means nothing to you until you realize that the normal value is 20 to 50. And we've seen patients as high as 1,353. And if you Google high iron and cancer, you will see that iron overload syndrome, dysregulation of iron, causes cancer. And you can say, well, how did I get so much iron in my system? Well, think about it. From the time you're a little kid, you're eating a box of cereal, iron fortified or iron enriched. Your breads and pastas, iron fortified, iron enriched. Plus they've got glyphosate on them because it's gluten. And then on top of that, anything in a package that you get is iron enriched. Now, there is a genetic component to that. We're going to talk about looking at the genetics because there are SNPs or variants of or mutations that you may have related to iron. But that's how you get a lot of iron in your system. That's how I see patients at 12 or 1,300. It's crazy. Now, there are some out there that say, no, you need a complete iron panel. You need a magnesium, zinc, and copper panel. That's $200 to $250. I've been in practice 39 years. Patients aren't going to pay $200, $250 to see if they have a problem with iron. They'll pay $29 or $49, whatever a lab may charge. And, I get there's the lab draw, but it shouldn't be anything more than that. And then you can see where and ferritin measures stored iron. You want iron circulating in your system. You don't want it stored. Because here are the symptoms. It really messes with your blood sugar. And that, I'm talking about iron overload syndrome. So the main symptoms, inflammation. Inflammation is a key issue with any problem, especially diabetes. Numbness, tiredness, fatigue, weakness, weight gain, weight loss, abdominal pain, high blood sugar levels, boop, right there. Hyperpigmentation of the skin, loss of sex drive in males, a decrease in the size of testicles in females, an absence of menstruation. And then it can be chronic pain, arthritis, liver disease or cirrhosis of the liver, diabetes, as I mentioned, severe thyroid disorder, heart disease, pancreatitis, high cholesterol, we're going to talk about that one, cancer, stroke, kidney disease, and lung disease. So some serious stuff going on there, folks, right? Very, very, very serious. And so let's talk a little bit about cholesterol, because Everybody and their uncle is taking a statin, and perhaps you are too. Cholesterol, when iron is high, magnesium is low, and when magnesium levels are low, the enzyme that creates cholesterol, the HMG coenzyme QA, goes to overdrive and creates excess cholesterol. So, look, folks, you need cholesterol for your brain. You need it for your nerves, the insulation of your nerves. You need it to make hormones. The problem is, when I was first in practice, cholesterol level was 300 or less. And then once they developed statins, everybody and their uncle's on a statin. And they want it down to 100. And that's insane. You know, stress can cause high cholesterol because the same thing can cause high iron and low magnesium. And not just emotional stress, but chemicals, heavy metals, a poor diet, lack of sleep, mold, EMFs, food allergies. Aging at the cellular level is rust. It's iron oxidation due to too much iron in your system. It's inside the mitochondria, which stops the production of ATP. ATP is the energy carrying molecule inside the cell. So iron dysregulation is huge, and it plays a big factor in every chronic condition, not just diabetes. And I don't care if it's type 1 autoimmune or type 2 or type 3. Well, let me share with you my numbers. So let me give you a little history. 2008, I'm diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It's a thyroid issue. 2009, I'm diagnosed with MS, peripheral neuropathy. I roll along. Stem cell therapy helped me. I couldn't stand or walk longer than 10 or 15 minutes. Afterwards, I could walk for 2 hours. Everything's rolling good until I lost like 40 pounds the past year because of COVID. I don't care what you say, the people who were passing away were morbidly obese. And I was not taking care of myself up to that point, so I lost 40 pounds. In January 2022, I had a severe gallbladder attack. I had to go into the hospital. I had pneumonia. In addition, so my lungs were filled with fluid. They gave me Lasix to alleviate the fluid before surgery. And that Lasix, they gave me so much, too much, caused kidney failure and heart failure. So I'm living this, is what I'm saying. So I get out of the hospital, here's my numbers. And you'll see, first of all, my ferritin is 365. Normal is 20 to 50. Right now I've got it down to 298. I take another ferritin test next week. I'm checking it monthly. But it skews all the other numbers. So my serum iron was low at 69. Total iron binding capacity, 255. It should be 340. That ferritin, like I told you, that's the major one. That's the one you want to just check first. It's 365. And then it skews all the other numbers. But I get down here to vitamin A. Vitamin A should be 3 times more than your vitamin D level. And I'm the exact opposite. So that's not good. It's really bad. So I'm working on that. And like I said, I've got my ferritin level dropping. I expect it to be lower when I get it checked next week, because you run the ferritin test, okay, it's high. In my case, 365. We've seen it as high as 12 to 1300. So then you get an iron panel and a magnesium, zinc, and copper panel. I just showed you that. Then what you want is a complete blood work panel. And by that I mean you want a CMP, complete metabolic panel. This will test your glucose levels, gut function, hemoglobin A1C, adrenal function, kidney function, liver function. You want a complete lipid panel because you're looking at cholesterol HDL ratio to show your risk of a heart attack, HDL, LDL. You want a CBC with autodifferential. And it'll check your red and white blood cells. You want a complete thyroid panel. And then you want to look at inflammation, C-reactive protein, and homocysteine. What I'm saying is, you have diabetes. You can't leave any stone unturned. You got to look at everything. And once you get your blood work back, you literally get this booklet of blood work. And that's all well and good. But what we do is put it into our database, and you'll have a lab range, and all the reds are positive. Lab ranges are very broad. You'll have a functional range with all the positives in yellow. And just to give you an example, the lab range for ALT and AST, which is the liver enzymes, is 0 to 40. That's the lab range. And the functional range, depending, is 16 to 26. Could go as low as 10 to 26, but I look at 16 to 26. So why wait till you're like 38? You're still under the lab range, but you're headed south. You got to do something to change that. And what you need to do is genetic testing. This individualizes the approach. You can't have a cookie cutter approach. You just can't. Because you see, here's the thing. Iron combined with hydrogen peroxide in your body creates a hydroxyl radical. And this is very, very, very toxic. It's called a Fenton reaction. But let's say, well, you don't really have that big a problem with iron. You may have an issue, and I have all of these, with glutamate, histamine, mold, EMFs, homocysteine, dopamine, sulfites, and something called an NAD/pH steal. So these are genetic variations, they're genetic mutations, they're called SNPs. And they can cause inflammation and affect detox pathways, brain chemicals, hormone levels, organ function, vitamin and mineral levels. Like I said, and I'll keep saying it, you don't want to leave any stone unturned, especially with diabetes. Don't get me wrong, you got to meet me halfway. You got to change your lifestyle if you already haven't. You got to stop eating junk food. You got to stop eating sugar, caffeine, alcohol. You've got to have, like they say, skin in the game, so to speak. You can't just be out there willy-nilly. And I'll tell you, I got into the genetic aspect of it in 2013, 2014. Dr. Kendall Stewart, he's a physician down in Texas. Dr. Ben Lynch, he's up in the northwest part of the country. Dr. Mark Harris, brilliant physician. And now I'm looking at Dr. Bob Miller, a good friend of mine, Dr. Joel Rosen, turned me on to Dr. Miller, said, you got to circle back and look at this stuff. And it's great. It really is great stuff. So I like to give credit where credit is due. A couple other things. Oh, and Dr. Bob Miller, he's really into functional genomics, which is a big fancy term meaning he doesn't leave any stone unturned. Rick Malta wrote a book, Strands of Health. Talks about HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis. Morley Robbins, another great book. Cure Your Fatigue. I disagree with Morley that he has a cookie cutter approach. I totally disagree with that. It has to be individualized. No two genetic profiles are exactly alike. How can you treat people the same? You can't. You don't. He also uses, doesn't like to use, I should say, zinc and calcium. The patients may need it. But he does a great job talking about mitochondria. He just doesn't support the mitochondria with supplements, and I think he should do that. Dr. Robert Selig, good friend of mine down in Chicago, Illinois. I call him the master of minerals. So, you may have a few questions at this point. How do I know if this will work for me? I've been diabetic since I was a kid. Well, you get that ferritin test, $29. That's what we charge. Even if it's $39 or $49. Get the ferritin test, that's the starting point. And then you work up from there, as I mentioned. Then you go to an iron panel, magnesium, zinc, and copper panel, complete blood work, and layer it in with the genetic testing. Will this work for other conditions? I don't care what the chronic condition is. Chronic autoimmune, chronic pain, chronic neurological. This is the key, the true root cause of all of these. And it has to be looked at, especially from a genetic standpoint. Well, then I get how long and how much. Well, I'm going to tell you this is an investment in your health. And we do offer financing so the vast majority of people can afford it. So we do 12, 18, and 24-month programs. Our 12-month program is $11,995. Our 18-month program is $14,995. And our 24-month program is $19,995. Why is it so expensive? A lot of blood work. You've got to keep track of things. I just laid it all out for you. Those tests are expensive. The blood work alone initially, it's like $5 or $6 grand if you went to the hospital. It's an investment in your health. So, if you would like to see if you can qualify to be a patient, you can email me drmlj83@gmail.com. That's drmlj83@gmail.com. It's the only way to get in touch with me. Only email. That's it. Don't call. Don't PM me on social media. I don't respond. I don't have time. This is the only way to get in touch with me. What do I mean by see if you qualify as a patient? There's diabetics that don't want to change their lifestyle. They just eat junk and crap all day long and take their insulin and they think they're fine. And that's all well and good, but I will not accept you as a patient. I've got COPD patients who won't quit smoking. Same thing, I won't accept them as a patient. Share this video, share it on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Share with your family and friends. And again, my email, the only way to get in touch with me, drmlj83@gmail.com. I'm Dr. Michael Johnson. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family and on social media. And I will say I look forward to helping you in the future.